And here's the intro.
Hey, Aaron, where are you? Where is Aaron right now? You done messed up, Aaron!
It's funny every time. I'll tell you, the only one who done messed up this time is Scientology yet again. By the way, let me not forget. Welcome back to some more SPTV, you guys. There's a little SPTV logo, guys. When is Scientology going to learn that Scientology and the internet do not mix? When it comes to Scientology versus the internet will win every single time. What in God's name am I talking about? I am talking about the fresh new wave of attack videos that Scientology has released about me on the website that they have created about me. The website is Smith-Levin.com. A lot of times people ask me, God, you could probably get an attorney and get that website name back. You know, it's your own name. And I go, you know what? Why bother? Why bother? Why not let Smith-Levin.com continue to exist on the internet as a shrine, as a temple, if you will, to what a disgusting, vengeful, vitriolic organization Scientology is, the international trafficking cult known as the Church of Scientology. Now, they have completely redone the website. I mean, you want to ask, like, has there been any reaction from Scientology to all the recent, the new wave of content that you and Mike Rinder and Mark Headley and Claire Headley put out? Oh yeah, man. Scientology has been on an absolute tear. Guys, I left Scientology 9 years ago, and they're still producing new content about what a horrible person I am and always have been, even though I was born and raised in Scientology and worked for them full-time until the age of 26. Okay. So, by the way, real quick, guys, I'm getting very close to 150,000 subscribers. So if you're watching this video and you're not yet subscribed, maybe consider clicking that subscribe button. And if you are subscribed, you might want to double check. A lot of people have been telling me that they've been getting unsubscribed from channels. So, okay, Katarina Tozser is my sister-in-law. We never had a very good relationship, but that's because Katarina's not a very nice person, but that's okay. I won't throw too many stones right now. So Katarina Tozser is my sister-in-law. Her maiden name's Katarina Tozser. She married a guy named Ryan Smith. So funnily enough, her name is now Katarina Smith, which is funny because that's my mom's last name is Smith. And so my wife's name is now Katarina. I'm sorry. My wife's name is Heather Tozser Smith-Levin, and Katarina's name is, I presume, Katarina Tozser Smith. Anyway, this is much more preamble than I intended to give. This is a pretty short video. This video is about 3 minutes, 30 seconds long. Instead of playing it all through and then commenting, I've watched it enough times. I know what she says, and I know where I have things I want to respond. So normally I say, I promise I'm not going to stop it at every 10 seconds. It's not going to be every 10 seconds, but I am going to be stopping it during this thing. All right. Anything I want to say, I will remember to say later, hopefully. And I will get to the super chats after the main part of this video. So apologies in advance if the sound on this thing is particularly loud. If it is, please let me know in the comments section. Give me just a second. Speaker. Okay. All right, guys, let's give this a shot, see how it goes.
He is my brother-in-law.
I can't hear it through my headphones. Hold on, guys.
He's married to my...
All right. Screw it. We'll do it without the headphones. Oh, I know why it's messing up. Give me a sec, guys. This is so embarrassing. I'm sorry, guys. This is so embarrassing. Okay.
Oldest sister.
Bingo. Okay, I'm coming back. Coming back to you guys. Here we go. Sorry, guys.
I know Aaron because he is my brother-in-law. He's married to my oldest sister, Heather. He came to live with us when my sister Heather was pregnant, and I was 16 when they came to live with us. And he was somewhat nice in the beginning. They lived with us for about a year, I think it was. And he just slowly started having moments where he would snap, such as like he was living there rent free. He would just.
Okay, real quick, because I saw they did an edit there. When my wife Heather and I left the Sea Org in May of 2006, the first thing that we did was go to Schenectady, New York, to help my wife's father, Katarina's father, finish building a house that he had been stuck in Schenectady building for maybe 2 years. Okay. So we went immediately from LA, from being in the Sea Org. My wife was in the Sea Org for like 14 years. I was in the Sea Org in LA only for 4 years. And went immediately, my wife was pregnant. That's why we left the Sea organization, and went to Schenectady to do hardcore physical labor for 3 months straight for no compensation whatsoever. I'm talking bricklaying. I'm talking about stonework, masonry, all kinds, like crazy hard labor. Not complaining, just explaining, giving some context here. When that project was finished, Heather and I and her father, everybody, came back to Clearwater, where we obviously, being fresh out of the Sea Org, had nowhere of our own to live yet. So we stayed with Heather's folks. Katarina was 16 years old, so she was living in the house as well. We stayed with Heather's folks for, are you ready? 4 months. Katarina says they lived with us for a year. 4 months we lived there. Okay, let's keep going.
Leave dishes in the sink, mess around the house. And my dad got upset because he was 70, working, supporting everybody. And Aaron went and started cursing and screaming and yelling at my dad, backed him up into a wall, screaming like inches from his face. And I went over and I was like, don't talk to my dad like that. And he then got in my face and tried to back me up into a wall. And I just walked away and went upstairs, and he continued screaming and yelling at me. Heather.
Okay. So she is referring to something generally that did occur, although nothing that occurred anywhere like she's saying. And in fact, the incident that she's talking about is what prompted my wife and I to energetically go buy our own place and move the heck out. And anyway, it was, I think, over something like dishes. And her father, it was something like there had been some big family dinner, and it wasn't just a normal dinner. It was some sort of an extra big dinner, extra people there. And I'll say his name is Imri. My father-in-law is Imri. He's passed away now, but I'll just say Imri. In Imri's household, his wife, Anne, is the homekeeper, the housekeeper. She does all the dishes. Like, it's her job. Okay. At least, while he was alive. Something happened. I guess dinner had already been over for like an hour. Imri came into the kitchen. He saw the place was still a mess, and he started screaming. Not like, just in an angry way. Now, the room in the house where Heather and I were staying was literally right off of the kitchen. 10 feet from the kitchen. I remember something happened where I very specifically thought he was yelling at me. And in retrospect, I honestly can't remember if he really was yelling at me or us or the situation, but I remember we started yelling at each other. The part of the story where Katarina just makes it up is backing him into a wall and screaming inches from his face. This is works of fiction. That's not the kind of person I am. I'm perfectly capable of yelling without being physically threatening. Like, it's just silly. Anyone who knows me knows that's not the relationship I had with my father-in-law. And then when she says, as a 16-year-old girl, then I told him to don't do blah, 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 and he got into my face and tried to back me into a wall. We're in pure fiction territory here. However, the general incident itself, it's bullshit based on a kernel of truth. There was a thing that happened. There was an argument that happened between me and Imri. And that is what made me and Heather go, okay, we've got to find our own place to live. And we bought a condo in Bel Air, like literally weeks later. Now, Emery even later said he felt horrible that incident is what made us go and buy a place, because what we bought was a condo and he didn't like condos. He thought we should have taken longer to look and found a house. And he felt some responsibility for feeling like he forced our hand to get out as quickly as possible to buy the first thing we found that we even vaguely liked. So I'm only providing a little bit of context. Like, he even felt bad about this incident. Anyway, all the extra flourishes that she's putting on it is just for the sake of the drama. But you'll see, it gets much, much better. Katarina's works of fiction rise to almost L. Ron Hubbard levels. So let's check it out.
Was pregnant, and she was probably like 6-7 months pregnant at this time. He didn't have a job. She didn't have a job. They were trying to, she didn't know how to pay for having her baby. So she went out and got a job, and he stayed home playing Xbox all day while she was working to make the money to have her baby.
Oh my God. One of the reasons I decided to do this video about her video is so that the other members of Katarina's family, or people who know Katarina and me and my wife Heather, can see the absurd, just blatant fiction, the pure lies that Katarina is telling in this video. And it does make you wonder, is Scientology telling her to say these things? Like, they're very weird and specific lies. Or is Katarina really writing her own script here? Oh my God. Okay. I have been working full-time since I was 12 years old. And my wife isn't far behind. Never in the 20 years that Heather and I have been married have I not been employed. Certainly when we left, and certainly never was there a time when I was not employed and she was, except maybe if I'd quit a job and I was finding another job. Like, I can think of an instance when I quit Measurable Solutions, which was a Scientology consulting company I was working for. I quit there. And then, in a week I had another job. When we left the Sea Org, I said, we first went to Schenectady to work for like 3 months for Heather's father, unpaid, both of us. It wasn't just me who was working. It was both of us. So when we came back to Clearwater, living with Emery without paying rent while I found a job was sort of part of the compensation for having spent 3 months in Schenectady helping Emery finish building that home. That being said, once we got back to Clearwater, I got work immediately. I was racking my brain today to figure out just how long we were in Clearwater before I actually started working at Measurable Solutions. So check this out. Emery's house, Ann is my mother-in-law, Emery's my father-in-law. Their house in Clearwater was literally next. Okay, it was 1 block over. In the same little development, one street over from the owner of a Scientology business consulting company called Measurable Solutions. Once it was Sean Kirk and Jeff Lee were the two owners of Measurable Solutions. Once Jeff Lee heard that Emery had a son-in-law who had just come to town, who'd been on staff for the last 15 years, the last 4 of which was in the Sea Org. That time was spent as an executive in one of the Scientology organizations there. I was offered a job as a business consultant at Measurable Solutions, sight unseen. I'd never met Jeff. I'd never spoken to him. I was informed one day, you've got a job offer from Jeff Lee at Measurable Solutions. And I started working instantly. By the way, this was before our first daughter was born. Now, Katarina says that when we had this blow up with Emery, or when we came to Clearwater, Heather was already like maybe 5 or 6 or 7 months pregnant. I can't remember exactly what she said. She's somewhere in the right area there, because I was I was already working as a business consultant when our daughter was born. And I remember because our daughter was born premature, 5 weeks premature. And because of that, they had to keep her in the neonatal intensive care unit until she met certain benchmarks for weight and food consumption. And I specifically remember all of this because Heather was not working. Heather was with the baby the entire time in NICU while I was working. And anybody who knows us from that time knows that that's true. Any of my friends or Katarina's friends knows that that's true. The fact that Heather had to go figure out how to pay for the baby. Let me tell you something, guys. As people who had just spent years working for the Sea Org, you better believe we both qualified for Medicare. For the last 4 years of my life, I had made, you get in Scientology working for the Sea organization, you're making $50 a week on a good week, you guys. You're lucky if you actually get paid. So I don't know, do the math, guys. I grew up in a cult. What's $50 times 52 weeks? That was my annual salary. That was also my wife's annual salary, if you want to call it that, working for Scientology. We did not have to figure out how to pay for our baby. We didn't have to pay 1 penny for having our baby because Medicare kicked in and paid for the entire thing. Now, you might go, maybe Katarina doesn't know those kind of details. And you go, it almost doesn't matter, right? Because if she doesn't know those details, she doesn't know any of the details. And therefore, she's just making it all up. I mean, the idea that my pregnant wife was off working while I was sitting at home playing Xbox is insane. It's fiction. Anyhow, I'm not even saying all this because I feel the need to be defensive in all of this. I relish the opportunity to actually make money off of Scientology's videos about me. and embarrass my sister-in-law as well for being such a bald-faced liar. And that's the other reason I'm doing this video. Katarina, there's a lot of Scientologists who watch my videos, and a lot of them know Katarina. And I'm sure a lot of those guys don't go to the website that Scientology created about me and watch that shit because they don't really care. But they do watch my videos. And I want them to see the kind of despicable bullshit lies Katarina said to Scientology specifically so they could launch smear attack videos about me. You're going to have to live with this for the rest of your life, Katarina. You're going to be famous on the internet now. I mean, Katarina clearly wanted the world to know what she thought about me. It is my honor to help the world hear what Katarina thinks about me. But to be honest, she knows that she's just making these things up anyway. But wait, it gets better, guys. Here we go.
He actually was nannying for Heather and Aaron for each of their 3 kids from basically birth up until they were, 5, 6, 7. And so I was around them a lot. And
okay. Katarina Tozser, Katarina Smith, has never nannied for my children a day in her life. Katarina did not have a good relationship with my wife, Heather. She certainly didn't have a good relationship with me. Katarina Tozser has never set foot inside of my home ever, even when we were still in Scientology. When Heather and I left Ann and Imri's house and bought our own condo, we lived in that condo in Bel Air for 2 or 3 years. And then from there, we bought a house in Clearwater. That house that we bought is the same house we still live in today. Katarina Tozser has never set foot in the condo we own in Bel Air or the house that we then bought and currently live in Clearwater. Ever. She was never our nanny. If she ever babysat for us, it would have only been when we dropped our kids off at her parents' house so that she could babysit for us. But Katarina was notoriously difficult and unhelpful and would not go out of her way to babysit for us ever. In fact, when we did finally eventually get a nanny for our kids, it was another Scientologist named Damara Jones, who we paid good money to be our nanny. Katarina wouldn't even babysit for our kids for free. She considered it a chore. So anyway, the fact, if anything, I want Katarina's brother and sister, Erica and Adam, I want them to see Katarina claiming to have been my children's nanny until they were like 5, 6, or 7 years old. Again, it does make you wonder, are you really writing your own script? Are you really telling these own lies? I mean, it seems like it's an awful lot of trouble to go out of your way to record a video just full of fiction. I mean, I have been assuming Scientology wrote this shit for you. But anyway, on the chance that you actually wrote this shit yourself, I want all of your family and friends to see that this is what you did. All right, let's keep going.
I would see how Aaron treated his family, treated his wife. He was rarely ever, if ever, kind to Heather or his kids. Almost every single time I was ever at their house, he would get annoyed in some way by one of the kids, and he would curse at them, tell them to get the fuck out of the room, shut the fuck up. The kids did seem to be afraid of Aaron a lot.
Okay, I don't remember where she goes from here, but she goes whenever I was at their house. Again, repeating the obvious. She was never at our house. There's one thing she's saying that I will admit to. I am a very easily irritated person. And I do, even for myself, respond in an irritable way much more often than I would like. But I will say this, and anyone who knows me or has spent any time around me knows this. I do not talk to my kids that way. I do not talk to my wife that way. I do not call my kids names. I do not curse at them. So when she says, shut the F up, my kids have never heard those words come out of my mouth directed at them or my wife. What else did she say? There was 2 things that she said. But anyway, again, she's purely making this up. Now, it's not like, oh, I'm too good to speak like that. No. There's plenty of people who I would speak to that way. My kids and my wife are not amongst those people. All right, here we go.
He was quick to hand out spankings and yelling. So obviously there was fear there. He seemed to use his kids as...
All right, real quick. This is unbelievable. My kids are now, well, I want to say they're grown. They're 16, 14, and 12. We got 3 girls, 16, 14, and 12. In all of their 3 lives collectively, a child, I say a child because I'm talking about collectively, might have been swatted on the butt maybe 3 times cumulatively. And any time that occurred, it was because they were hurting each other. Okay. So like if one child was active, if child A is hurting child B, child A might get a swat on the butt. Now, I know there's plenty of people who'll be like, oh, that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. Guys, I'm just providing context. When I was a kid, getting spanked meant something significantly different. And getting spanked was usually a punishment for simply having broken a rule, not an intervention on behalf of another child. Now, Katarina is probably saying this in response to something, a story that her mother likes to tell and has told in her Scientology video of a time at my in-laws' house where 2 of my kids were fighting. And remember, one of my kids, when you're really small, one's 2 years older than the other. And at that age, 2 years is a very big difference. And the older child was doing something significantly hurtful physically to the younger child. And I picked up the older child and I think I held her upside down and I swatted her on the butt and then I put her down. Now, for whatever reason, this Katarina's mom, my mother-in-law, my wife's mother, was so horribly offended by my having done that she actually told my wife, tell Aaron, if he ever does that again, he's not welcome here. Now, I don't have the explanation for why there was such a strong reaction to that. I mean, I think, God, I don't even know. I was going to say, I think maybe my wife grew up in a household where kids weren't even disciplined, but I know that's not true. Like, I know that's not true. So I just don't have the explanation. But because that's a story that Katarina knows is out there, and I think she must think it's a button for me, she's like, oh, he's just always violent with his children and everything. Anyway, anyone who knows me or has spent any time with me and my kids know that ain't the way it is in my household. And the truth is, that type of discipline, this might sound wrong, isn't even necessary in my household. My kids, I realize people are going, it's never necessary. Just get what I'm saying here. My kids are exceedingly well behaved. My kids have an unusual amount of respect for me and their mom. And I guess you could say, well, maybe that's because they're so afraid of you. Whether you want to call it respect, fear, good sense, it doesn't really matter. My kids are very well behaved. We just don't have that kind of household where like discipline is a big deal. But you know, it's like it's always hanging in the air. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm being a little long-winded about it, but okay, let's see. I don't remember what she says next, but let's find out.
It's like a tool to manipulate or get sort of his way with my family. He knew how important they were to my mother and father. And if they got upset with him or disagreed with the way he was acting or what he was doing, he would threaten, like, you're never going to see the kids again. He would use that with Heather. Like, if you try to like leave me, I will take the kids. You'll never see them again. I just feel.
Okay. I'm pretty sure my wife has never seen this video from Katarina. And it's one of the reasons I wanted to do this, because I know my wife will watch my videos. I want her to see that her sister said this. Take the kids out of it for a second. My wife and I have never had such a conversation. Kids or other. If you leave me, I've never threatened to leave my wife. My wife has never threatened to leave me. We've never had a conversation or an argument like that. This is not, I mean, like, and Katarina's, the household that Katarina grew up in wasn't that kind of household either. I mean, I know that Katarina's parents fought like cats and dogs when my wife was young. I don't believe that was still the case when Katarina came along and was growing up. My wife is significantly older than Katarina. So I'm 42. My wife is 50. Katarina is probably, she said she was 16 when we came to Clearwater. I was 26. So Katarina is 10 years younger than me. And Heather's 8 years older than me. So there's an 18-year difference between Katarina and my wife. My point here is that even Katarina did not grow up in a household, to the best of my knowledge, where those were the kinds of conversations and arguments that were going on between the parents. And she knows very well that there's been no such conversations or arguments between me and Heather. This is where it's what makes me go, did Katarina really come up with this? Or did some script writer at Scientology go, you know, it would sound really good and people would probably believe it because a lot of people have this kind of experience. You should say this. I honestly don't know. I just truly don't know. Let me see. There was one. Oh, you'll never see the kids. Oh my God. If I didn't like the way they were treating me, I'd say, you'll never see the kids again. There's one incident that Katarina is basing that off of. And it was a Thanksgiving. I'm going to lose track of the year because let me see. We got officially declared in like 2014, like March-ish 2014. Okay. So Thanksgiving 2013, my wife and I were not declared yet. I was not declared yet, but I was pretty much already I was in trouble with Scientology. They knew I was up to no good. They knew I was in touch with Mike Rinder. They knew I was in touch with Marty Rathbun. They at least highly suspected it. They didn't trust me. They'd interrogated me about it extensively. I lied my ass off to them about it. And they pretty much suspected I was lying my ass off to them about it. But they didn't really have enough to declare me a suppressive person yet. But they still treated me. They still put the word out. Aaron's no persona no bueno. At this point, my wife's other sister, Erica Sledge, she's married to Tom Sledge, was in the Sea Org at Flag. They've since left the Sea organization, but they're still in Scientology. So Erica Sledge, her husband Tom, told Erica, if Aaron is at Thanksgiving, I'm not going. Erica called her father and said, Tom says if Aaron's at Thanksgiving, he's not going. So what do you want to do? My father-in-law, Emery, called my wife, Heather, and said, look, if Aaron comes to Thanksgiving, Erica and Tom aren't coming, and we don't get to see them very often. So you're still welcome to come, Heather, to Thanksgiving. But unfortunately, we have to ask Aaron not to come. Now, can you imagine the balls of telling my wife that she's welcome to come to Thanksgiving dinner without me? By the way, this conversation occurred on Thanksgiving Eve. So my wife and I are informed one day before Thanksgiving that we are not welcome at the giant family Thanksgiving dinner that we have every year. Okay. So, but this was 2013. So this means every year it would have been 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This would have been our 8th year in Clearwater with the family. We do big family dinners every Christmas, every Thanksgiving, every Easter, whatever the heck. And we get a phone call the night before that we're uninvited from Thanksgiving dinner. Okay. Now, at this time, every Sunday morning, we would go over to Heather's parents for a Sunday morning breakfast. Her brother would come, her sisters would come, the nieces and nephews would come. We'd all have a big family breakfast. We were so effing livid at being uninvited. I told Heather, I am not going over for Sunday breakfast. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm never going over there again. And I said, and I don't want you taking the kids over there. I said, I don't want you taking the kids over there. They don't get to pick and choose which members of our family are welcome in their house. And my wife, Heather, said, yeah, I'm terribly uncomfortable with it, and I'm not planning on taking them. For a period of about 3 weeks, none of us went to Thanksgiving dinner. By the way, I never saw them again. I never saw Heather's family again. After about 3 weeks, I said, Heather, this is stupid. Just take the kids over there. And she's like, yeah, I was thinking about that. I was like, this is ridiculous. Just take the kids. Now, at some point in there was text conversations between me and Ann, or me and Emery, or whatever. And I do recall putting into text, not, you'll never see the kids again. That's a really childish way of speaking. I would never, that's not something that would ever come out of my mouth. You'll never see the kids again. Any discussion that occurred was very limited to the situation at hand and the time at hand. It would have been, we are not coming over. We will not be coming over for breakfast, and we will not be bringing the kids. That is almost exactly, memory is a very fallible thing, but that is exactly what I remember texting. Because remember, we were still in Scientology at the time. Saying, you'll never see the kids again isn't something Scientologists would say to each other. That's not a thing. Okay. So that is the one incident, the one kernel of truth, where for like 3 weeks, me and Heather, and again, I'd have to ask Heather whether, were you only saying that because I said it, or did you say that because you honestly agreed to it? From my perspective, she and I both agreed. Yeah, that is an insult, a greater insult we could not imagine. We're not just going to resume going to breakfast being like, oh, we totally understand why you uninvited us from Thanksgiving dinner. And they'd be like, well, they didn't uninvite her. They uninvited you. The balls that you have to tell one spouse of one half of a couple, you're welcome to come as long as you don't bring your spouse. Oh, okay. So anyway, I know I'm repeating myself at this point, but that's the thing that he'd always threaten, you'll never see the kids again. It's absurd. All right, let's see what else.
For his children who have to grow up with that father figure in their life and not being able to see their grandmother and their grandfather before he passed, and any of their cousins or their aunts and uncle who love them, but we can't see them because he's choosing to take them away from all of us.
Wow. Uh-oh, hold on. Okay. I'm going to leave Katarina's very unpleasant face on screen while I finish this video. I think you guys heard what I just heard. I think you guys heard Katarina claim that even up until today, the reason Katarina and her entire family cannot see my children is because I am keeping my children from them. You guys heard that, right? Katarina hasn't seen my kids in 9 years. Katarina lives within less than 10 miles from my house. My wife and I have gone out of our way to actually create situations where the family members would be able to accidentally run into our children and see them. Katarina has never been interested in that. For Katarina's statement to be true, she would have to deny that Scientology disconnection exists. And this is honestly, when I heard that her video ended like that, it's what absolutely convinced me I was absolutely doing this video. I want Katarina's brother and sister to hear her say on camera in a video that Scientology can use to smear me, that the reason she doesn't see my kids is because I am keeping them away from her. Let me tell you guys a story. My youngest goes to a very specific school. That's a weird way to describe a school, but I just don't want to say the name because my wife would freak out. Meaning it's one of these charter schools. It's sort of like a special school. It's a very specific school. My daughter's been going there for more than 1 year, and I guess there must be some orientation day or something. Anyway, there was some event that was being held at the school. My wife went, this was just a few months ago. My wife went with my youngest daughter and some of her friends and other kids to this school. Guess who was there? Katarina Tozser Smith was there at this event with her kid. By the way, I don't even remember if Katarina has 1 or 2 kids because we've never met her kids. Since 2014, when we got declared, Katarina has had at least 1, maybe 2 kids. We've never met them. My kids don't know. I don't even know if they're boys or girls or anything. My kids have never met her kids. Katarina was there at this school, at this event with her kids. Katarina saw my wife there. Katarina went out of her way, my wife and my youngest daughter. Katarina went out of her way to avoid my wife and my daughter and not have to speak to them or even acknowledge their existence. Now, if I was the one, if I was the reason, if I was the one keeping my kids from seeing my wife's family, you would expect Katarina to go, "Oh, Heather, I've missed you so much. I'm so glad to find you away from that horrible, abusive beast of a husband. I wish you would leave him. Oh my God." No. Katarina gladly disconnected from my wife, her sister, and my 3 daughters, her 3 nieces. Katarina did not shed a single tear. Katarina didn't even have a conversation with my wife. You have to understand, Katarina and my wife have never really gotten along because Katarina is a very spiteful little brat. Katarina would really like when Heather, my wife joined the Sea Organization when she was very young. And before she joined the Sea Organization, she went off to Delphi, which is a Scientology boarding school in Oregon. My wife went off to Delphi to get away from her folks and away from the household when she was like 16. Now, remember, I said my wife is 18 years older than Katarina. So my wife left home when Katarina was only 2 years old and didn't come back home until Katarina was 16. Katarina always seemed to hold a really strong grudge against my wife that she basically abandoned the family or something, even though my wife went off to join the Sea Organization. Okay. It was very weird. Like Katarina is a very sort of spiteful, not happy, friendly person. And so that always colored the relationship between Katarina and my wife, Heather, which in turn colored the relationship with me. I just couldn't imagine that this young Scientology kid was being such a spoiled, spiteful little brat. Like I had no respect for her whatsoever. Katarina Tozser, by the way, has never worked a day in her life. Okay. And still doesn't. She wants to talk about like Heather going out to get a job. You've never gone out to get a job. Okay. So where the hell was I going with that? But yeah, Katarina, by the time my wife's family had to disconnect from my wife and our kids, Katarina had already washed her hands. Katarina never even had a conversation with my wife where she said something like, oh, this is really horrible and it's terrible and I wish you'd make it. No, there was no conversation whatsoever. None whatsoever. Nor was there a conversation with any of the others of the siblings. Let's see. What else did she say there? Oh, yeah. That he is keeping them away from us. You know, you've heard me and Mike Rinder and Mark Headley talk about who is the actual intended audience of these videos. And we have each sort of said and agreed that for the most part, the intended audience is Scientologists themselves. That these videos are done to sort of give Scientologists, I want to say plausible deniability, but I feel like that's the wrong word. Give Scientologists the justification and the reason that they need to wash their hands of the people being spoken of. It's almost like, don't worry, guys. It's okay that you disconnected. This is what we're saying about them. And it's almost like giving them air cover, that it's okay to disconnect. You don't have to feel bad, or some variation of that. The problem is any Scientologist would watch this video and hear what Katarina just said, and they would honestly be embarrassed. That is how I feel. I'm going to ask Mike and Mark for their opinion tomorrow in our Mondays with Mike and Mark. When I was still in Scientology, if I saw a Scientologist do a video like this and say what she just said, I would have been embarrassed. The entire world knows about Scientology's disconnection policy. There's it does make me wonder. It does make me wonder and question. Could they really think that messaging was going to have an impact with Scientologists? Or have they perhaps shifted their intended audience of these videos to just people outside of the Scientology bubble, where they're just saying things that they do think would sound believable to normal people who don't already understand Scientology at some depth? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. When you see this trash and this nonsense, and believe me, guys, this stuff doesn't get to me. I know I seem like I'm getting worked up. The truth is I really don't like Katarina. I'm not getting worked up because this stuff gets under my skin. This stuff to me is comical. I know it seems like I'm getting worked up. This stuff genuinely is entertaining to me. And that might sound sick and twisted. Knowing Katarina, knowing who she is, knowing what she knows and doesn't know, seeing her do this really is comical to me. It's some of the other stuff that we're discussing that I guess gets me worked up. There's a lot of family history here, and a lot of it's the family drama between 2009 and 2014 was some seriously soul-destroying stuff. But I'll tell you who wasn't really involved in all that. Katarina wasn't really involved in all that. The soul-destroying stuff was really between me and Heather and her parents and perhaps her brother Adam. But Katarina and the other sister Erica were pretty much missing from the scene because, first of all, Katarina's not just really didn't give a shit about me or Heather, honestly. And Erica, the other sister, was in the Sea Org at that time, so she was sort of a non-factor. The brother Adam was not in the Sea Org and isn't even a Scientologist, really. So that was some interesting drama. But the biggest drama was with my wife's father, Imri, because she was really close with her father. My wife wasn't really close with her mother. So that was an issue, but not as much of an issue. So guys, let me know in the comments down below, in the live chat for you who are here with me now, but in the comments if you're watching the replay. When you watch this kind of bullshit, who do you think the intended audience is? And do you think it works at all? I mean, I don't think it works at all. But what do you guys think? Is it as transparent to everyone else as it is to me and people, you know, who've been on the inside? Is there anyone walking the face of the earth who watches this video and goes, she might have a point there? I don't think so. But what do I know, guys? I grew up in a cult. Oh my goodness. All right, let's get Katarina's ugly mug off the screen here. Sorry, I couldn't help it. I had put in a little bit of a shot there. Okay, so I did say I would do the super chats, and I don't want to be a liar. So let me go up and get all the super chats. It's already a 44-minute video, but what the hell, guys? Let's do it. Okay. All right, here we go. Destiny Salzar. Destony Salzar. So glad you're back, Aaron. So happy you continue to fight back each and every day. Much love and support. Thank you very much, Destony. I really appreciate it. And by the way, I know I mentioned this earlier, but I am going to be going through each of the videos that Scientology has published about me. And now that I've got a big platform, you know, let's help these guys get the message out to as many people as possible, because they don't seem to realize that the message backfires on them. It hurts them much more than it hurts me, and I'm more than willing to help them do that. All right, let's see. Next one. Lathanda Gronklage. Love the name every time I see it. She looks like a robot with dead eyes. Looks like she's on drugs, tiny pupils, and almost no blinking. Very creepy. Is she even alive, or is she just CGI? Thank you, Lathanda. Well, Katarina has always been kind of a creepy, lifeless, soulless person. Nah, that's a low blow. She's definitely not on drugs. I can tell you that. As a Scientologist, look very, very much down on doing any sort of drugs. You know, Katarina's married with children, and the chance of her actually being on drugs is very, very low. That's just residual creepiness from Scientology. You can't even blame her being on drugs or being a robot. That's just Scientology shit right there. Thank you, Lathanda. Linda P. Golan. Hello, Linda. Always good to see you. Legal fund for AA Ron. Sink the phony cosplay Navy. Well, thank you, Linda. Thankfully, I don't need a legal fund because Scientology would not dare sue me for anything. But I really wish they would. Honestly, I wish they would. So keep those legal fund donations coming if you'd like. But I think we're safe in that regard. Thank you, Linda. Okay, Matthew. That's how I read this in internet language. Maybe her Thetan was babysitting for you in a previous body. Now, that is one of the best arguments I've heard all night. Thank you, Matthew. All right, let's see. Jude Morrow. Hi, Aaron and Osa. Does We Dave not realize the massive tax-free dollars spent on SEO under your name are driving people to this channel and causing people to leave the cult? Jude, I've asked myself the same question. In fact, I'm going to do a dedicated video to the fact that David Miscavige literally pays me to expose Scientology's crimes. Have you guys seen, forget the SEO, have you guys seen the Scientology ads that run on my channel? I mean, David Miscavige should be declared a suppressive person for financially supporting a known suppressive person like me. You'd think, I mean, I know, like, you know, they probably... the way Scientology does their ads, they probably target anyone who searches Scientology. But does he truly not understand that by running ads on my channel, Scientology is paying me to do videos about Scientology? It truly is remarkable. And David Miscavige should be declared a suppressive person accordingly. Thank you, Jude, for bringing that up. Debbie JF, there is no life left in her eyes. Well, that seems to be the consensus here. If there ever was any life there to begin with, I guess, is the big question. Thank you, Debbie. Okay, Daniel Cathers, please beg Mark to review the Dirty Cracker Liquor video on his site. Daniel, Mark and I were just talking about this while we were on the cruise. Mark has actually never seen the Cracker Liquor video. He explained to me that he never goes to his website. He never sees the videos. And he goes, hey, for all I know, somebody could have made it up. I honestly don't know. And I said, I really do think I remember. He goes, I didn't eat crackers in the Sea Org. And I said, no, Mark, I think it was a story of you, like when you were in school, in like grade school, and you were mean to some girl on like a class excursion or a field trip where you stole her crackers and you licked the salt off and you put them back or something. He's like, oh, he goes, I thought it was about me in the Sea Org. He goes, I still don't remember it in school, but at least that makes a little bit more sense. Guys, if you can find the Dirty Cracker Liquor video, send it to me. Don't send it to Mark. He doesn't necessarily need to see it. Send it to me and I will review it. Thank you, Daniel. Okay, next one here. Kat, AC/DC fan, a frequent flyer on SPTV. Always good to see you here, Kat. So glad you're back. Sorry this is what you had to come back to. Figured they would do something. Yep. It's the same stuff they've always been doing. I mean, it's okay. It's what we're here for, to take the shots and take the hits and show everybody it doesn't really matter There's nothing they can really do to you but try to get under your skin. And if you can take that shit and figure out how to turn it back on them and make some money in the process, win-win if you ask me. Thank you, Kat. Another one from Distoni. Thank you for sharing this AA run. What a perfect example of how Scientology tears families apart. Absolutely. Absolutely. And guys, I forgot to mention, when my wife's father was dying in the hospital, one of her family members, one who's not a Scientologist, had the humanity to contact her and say, he's got maybe 2 or 3 days left. You should come and see him. She did get a chance to go and see him, and it went very well. And Katarina and Katarina's sister and Katarina's mother and Katarina's spouse and Erica's spouse refused to even speak to my wife when she went to the hospital to see her father before he died. That's what a fucking bitch Katarina Tozser is. How about that? Okay, so yeah, you want to talk about tearing families apart. That's exactly right. That is exactly right. Thank you for that. All right, Matthew, you are better than them. Keep that head high. Yes, I do enjoy getting down to their level, though. I'm not going to lie. Thank you, Matthew. Christine, what will Heather's parents think of Katarina's video? If these are blatant lies, will they call her out or be on board with what she has said? Heather's parents both did videos just like this one, except I had never seen the video before that her father did. I thought her mother was the only one who did a video. And so anyway, my wife's father has died and the mother is still alive. And that is one of the other videos that I will be reviewing. And, you know, part of the reason for my very severe dislike for these people is that even when her father, it's not like her father just suddenly died. He was dying for a couple years. You would think that these horrible people, okay, they're horrible people because of how they're behaving. If they leave Scientology, they probably wouldn't be horrible people. Would have at least said, you know, hey, Heather, maybe you can just secretly be in touch with Emery since he's dying. Or you'd think they would have pushed Emery to be like, you know, you're kind of dying. Does it really matter if you get in trouble for talking to your daughter and your granddaughters? Do you know what I mean? You have to be a pretty fucking horrible person not to allow your humanity to creep in when you know someone's dying. So, you know, I don't have any love lost for these people that I'm going to be reviewing videos about. And I don't know if that brings me down to their level or not, but I really don't care, to be perfectly honest. All right, let's see. Next one. Lathanda. Maybe Scientology makes these videos as arguments for Scientologists when they are confronted with people criticizing the church with your videos. Well, I think that definitely is a part of it. I would totally agree with that. Devin Laura, did Adam disconnect too, even though he wasn't in? So the problem, Devin, I'm not going to give you a straight yes or no on this, but I'll paint the picture this way. The problem is that Adam is not a Scientologist and his wife is not a Scientologist, but his wife's entire family are Scientologists. And let's just say Adam's wife certainly cares about her family, her extended family, a hell of a lot more than she cares about me or my wife or my kids. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Thank you, Devin. It's a good question, and it's a fair question, but I have to answer it that way. All right. Oh, I didn't even bring water. Ugh. Rock it out with Kim D. Hay. Slow and steady wins the race. Thank you for your hard work. Well, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. All right, let's see. Stephen Britton. I don't find this aggravating. It doesn't make me angry. I just find it pathetic and sad. Audience is anyone who doesn't know you. Yes. Yes. And I think the other thing, if I think about it, is also any media organizations. I mean, luckily, times are changing where YouTube is becoming the new media. But in a world where people, let's say Mike Rinder has a book to sell. Let's say Mike Rinder's going on like mainstream media shows. Scientology wants to be able to beat those other people over the head, those mainstream platforms. Scientology wants to be able to beat them over the head with these websites and these videos, because those people don't know enough to know whether these videos are true or false. So Scientology can direct those people to these videos and say, how dare you platform somebody who has done A, B, C, X, Y, and Z. And here's 15 former coworkers and family members who all say that this person's done A, B, C, X, Y, and Z. There's no way anybody would believe that all 15 of these people are lying. And then you go, and until you explain that they're all Scientologists, and then everybody goes, oh, of course. Say no more. Say no more. Everyone knows that Scientologists will lie and say anything about someone who's left and is speaking out about it. So thank you for that, Stephen. I appreciate it. Nathaniel Christopher, these campaigns have an intended audience of one. And I'm not sure whether you mean the audience is David Miscavige or whether the audience is the person being reported on, but you're probably not far from the truth there. All right, Stephen Britton. Katarina isn't on drugs. She's on ducks. I have to admit, Stephen, I don't totally get the joke, but yeah, she's on ducks. I don't get it. Is it because she looks like a duck? That's what I choose to believe. Okay. Jay Addison and R. Steele. I made it to 2 of your shows today. Thank you all. Thank you so much for all you do for all of us out here in the real world. Seriously, you and the SPTV crew have helped so many people. Thank you. Thank you very much for watching and helping me spread the word as far and wide to the entire internet as possible, which is my goal. So thank you guys. All right, let's see. MB826 is seeing an ophthalmologist or speech therapist not encouraged in Scientology, wondering why clearly visible issues aren't addressed before making a hate video. When you say ophthalmologist, I'm not sure what you mean. Does she have a lazy eye? I don't think so. Does she have a crooked eye? Her face might be a little crooked. Are you saying that she has eye problems? Are you referring to the small pupils? The small pupils are probably because she's got a light shining right in her face. She's had the speech impediment for her entire life. I guess that's just probably the shape of her mouth. So I just honestly, if I were any one of my wife's family members and I was approached, well, fuck, if I was me and one of my family members had been declared or whatever, and I was asked to sit down and do one of these videos, I would have just said, yeah, no, thanks, bro. Like, think about this. They agree. These people are now public people. So Katarina Tozser Smith agrees to sit down for Scientology, put her face on video, and do a smear video about me, which Scientology publishes on a website accessible by the entire world. That makes her a public figure. It's one thing. Could you imagine being put in that position, being pressured by your so-called church to put your face out there on the internet? There's plenty of Scientologists who you'll never know they're Scientologists. They won't be on Scientology's website. They won't be in any videos. And you've never seen Katarina Tozser in any of Scientology's own promo or their websites or their videos. But by virtue of being pressured, and I will say that there was probably a certain amount of pressure involved here. Like, oh, you don't want to do the video? Why don't you want to do a video? You should want to deliver an effective blow to the enemy. And if you don't want to do the video, maybe you have mutual outroots. Are you secretly in agreement with Aaron? And da, 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 da. So there's a certain amount of pressure that Scientology has to bring to bear to people to have them do these things. But now that that pressure has been brought to bear, this video is on the internet for life. And I say that not like, oh my God, the terrible things she said about me is going to be on the internet for life. No, Katarina's mug saying these horrible lies is going to be, she's never going to be able to get away from this video for the rest of her life. That's pretty horrible. And that's actually one of the reasons I'm doing these videos. It occurred to me, they think they're doing something to me by putting this shit up on their websites that nobody goes to. So let me flip it around and put their video on my channel that millions of people watch. My channel gets about 4 million views a month right now. So Katarina, by doing Scientology's dirty work, you have screwed yourself. And, you know, if the intended audience of these videos is sometimes Scientologists themselves, then let's contribute to that motion. Let's teach Scientologists that if you agree to do these hate videos about former Scientologists, channels like mine and Mike Rinder's and Mark and Claire Headley's are going to make you actually famous. Your video is not going to be buried on some website that nobody's going to watch. Your video is going to be broadcast to all of YouTube. And you're going to be known as the Scientology schmuck who lied and smeared your own former friends, family members, and coworkers just to support your human trafficking cult. That's why I decided to do these videos. And I made this decision while I was on the cruise last week. So, yeah. Anyway, I got off the topic there, but thank you for the super chat. Okay. Ren B. It feels like, God, I really need some water, but there's no water in this room. It feels like they're targeting your audience and trying to get you canceled, but literally have no idea how the internet works. Bingo. They are kind of the worst. Exactly. Exactly. You nailed it. All right. Lena 1, God bless you and your wife. Screw Cat and the horse she limped in on. We don't believe her. Yeah, I mean, nobody really believes anything Scientology says, which is when it occurred to me this week, it's like, guys, it's one thing to say nobody watches these videos and nobody believes them, but do you know what would be even better? To highlight the videos and actually make money on the Scientology hate videos that they made about me. And when I say make money, I don't even mean the super chats, guys. I'm just talking about Google ad, you know, the AdSense, YouTube puts ads on the videos. And I'm like, hell, those videos are buried on Scientology's website. Unbury them from that grave that nobody goes to and put them on the actual internet where people watch YouTube. So thank you, Lena. I appreciate it. All right, Winter's scoop. If you weren't working, how the hell could you immediately afford a condo after the fight? Exactly. Exactly. I went from just sitting at home and playing Xbox all day while my pregnant wife worked some entry-level job somewhere, and we just went and bought a condo. It's so insane. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. All right, thank you. It breaks my heart to see you cry. Okay, so we're in that part of the chat now. I mean, thank you. And you know, by the way, in the Lex Friedman interview that I did, there's a part where there's a part where I sort of end up talking about all this, and I start crying, and then the way Lex's editor edited the video makes it look like I was just crying one second, not crying the next second. And a lot of people in the comments were like, oh, wow, this feels weird. Like he's going from it made people question whether it was real or whether it was just an act or whatever. And I'm just mentioning because it was actually just an unfortunate product of the editing. I don't know. I realize I'm kind of getting off topic here, but yeah, I mean, I really do. My natural cheery demeanor is really the natural cheery demeanor that I have in life. And, you know, if you get me talking about my brother or or my wife's family disconnection. Like, it's just not easy to talk about, which actually is why I don't talk about it on my channel. I mean, to be clear, that is why I don't talk about it on my channel. It's not fun. It's not enjoyable. It's not the kind of thing I'm into. And it's why I am able to much more. It's much easier. I'm much better at focusing on going over other people's stories or answering other questions about Scientology or explaining Scientology and things. Like, sometimes people go, how come people, I've had people say, I've been watching your video for years, but your channel for years. I don't actually know anything about your story. Can you do a video about your story? And I'm like, nah. Nah. I told my story on the first season of Leah Remini's Scientology and the Aftermath. And that was not a pleasant experience. It was just 2 days of crying. And it wasn't fun to do. After it was done, I remember thinking to myself, I will never do that again. And I didn't launch this channel just to do that again. I can just say, hey, everybody, watch Leah Remini's Scientology and the Aftermath. And every now and then it comes up and, you see what happens. So there we go. All right, let's see. Rock it out with Kim D. Hay. Rolling on the floor laughing. Forgot last name is pronounced Hi. Oh, hi. Rock it out with Kim D. Hi. You have a unique balance of solid information and genuine human expression of emotion. Well, thank you. I haven't completely been robotified by Scientology, as you can see Katarina has. But you might have seen a different version of me, though, when I was still in the Sea Org. You know what I mean? But Katarina was never in the Sea Org. She doesn't have that excuse. She's just garden variety Scientology trash. Oh, that was a low blow. I'm sorry. She's just garden variety Scientology robot. There we go. I really don't like Katarina. Okay, so let me see. Daniel Cathers. I emailed you the Cracker video. It's only a minute, and there's a bonus coffee rat story. Oh my God. The video is so funny. I know Mark he feels like Mark doesn't like watching this stuff because he feels like it's more of a middle finger to Scientology if he never watches any of the stuff they did about him. But the Cracker video is so funny. I will ask him if he wants me to send it to him. How about that? Thank you, Daniel. Oh, I see, Stephen. Okay, okay. Drugs, ducks equals deliberately nonsensical like Scientology. I get it. I thought that might have been it. Okay, here we go. Kat and Maggie. It's entirely possible Katarina has some ethics issues that this video helps her out of. That is a very, very good point. It is possible that these guys were offered some type of amnesty to actually do these videos. I actually never thought about that. Damn good point, Kat and Maggie. Very smart. Okay. Lady BB. I walked away from my mother 25 years ago due to the church cult she had us in. I wish I could give you a hug. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's see. Anon. I can't imagine my own family doing videos about me. It's the reason I stay under the radar. It's true. It's true. It's not real until it becomes real. You know what's interesting? I have a younger brother. All these people these are Heather's family members. I have a younger brother who's still in good standing with Scientology and disconnected from me and my kids. And he and I, to be honest, as brothers, never had a great relationship. We have different fathers. He was raised by his father. Well, we didn't spend a lot of time together growing up. And just as brothers, we just never had a particularly great relationship. It wasn't horrible. It just wasn't great. Even he has not done a video about me. Isn't that interesting? Even I had a younger brother named Darius DiMartino. And then my twin brother, of course, was named Colin Smith-Levin. My twin brother's son's mother even did a fucking hate video about me. But my own brother has not. Remarkable. But look, Anon, this is a really important point. This is a really important and powerful point. And I think the point you're making here is actually more along the lines of what Mark and Mike meant when they said the intended audience of these videos is Scientology. Not to get Scientologists to believe the content, but to get Scientologists to go exactly what you're going here. I wouldn't want this to happen to me. It's almost like a warning shot. Hey, Scientologists, you thinking of leaving Scientology? Well, if you do, you better keep your mouth shut. Because if you speak out publicly, you're going to get the full Monty treatment, the full court press. I know full Monty means something else, but anyway, thank you for that comment, Anon. That's very powerful, actually. Okay, so let's see. LJ Vespertile, one of my other favorite names in here. To you and Heather, I'm so sorry, Aaron. A ridiculous video because it's so easy to block a number, call live, and ask. Oh, block number, call live, and ask if she'll speak to her sister. Not saying you should. Oh, she wouldn't. No, Katarina is a true believer. And I got to tell you, even if Katarina no longer believed in Scientology, she genuinely does not like, well, me. I don't want to overspeak. I was going to say she genuinely does not like Heather. That feels like it's more insulting of my wife than it is of Katarina. When Katarina actually had a relationship with my wife, Heather, she showed such disregard and disdain in various circumstances for Heather. I don't think Katarina would want to get in touch with Heather, even if Katarina left Scientology. As I say that, it feels like an overstatement. You know, Katarina never showed a lot of care for my kids, but she did like my kids. I mean, she didn't care enough about, like, it's not like it was such a close relationship that she's like, oh my God, you guys, I hope, let me know whenever you want to babysit. I'll babysit whenever you want. You know, sometimes people love your kids so much, like, oh my God, I'll babysit for you whenever you want. Believe me, Katarina was not that kind of person. She could not be bothered. Even if she was being paid, she would act like it was a chore. So my point is, yeah. Actually, I think I'm making the same point you're making. The video is ridiculous because it is so easy to block the number, call live, and ask if she'll speak to her sister. Yeah. Oh, I guess, LJ, I'm not sure if you're saying Heather would do that to Katarina or Katarina would do that to Heather. But in either case, Katarina would not want to talk to Heather. At least that's what I think. Thank you, LJ. I appreciate it. Chiyoko, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you. Oh, it is pronounced Destiny. Okay. Destiny Salazar, pronounced Destiny. My family could say worse things about me and we still go to see each other whenever we want. I love it. I love it. It is remarkable the kind of things they will say in these videos. Obviously, you know, she did say some stuff that was pretty insulting, but in other videos and other examples, the kind of stuff that they say that they, as if it's really, really bad. And you're like, what? What are they talking about? Is that like, do these people not understand the morality of the real world? Like, it's really strange. Okay, let's see. Catherine S. Probably for K, vid, not an effective blow. Prob for K. Sorry, Catherine, I don't totally know what you mean, but thank you for the super chat. Okay, I think we're getting to the end here, guys. Jackie May, sending lots of love to you and your family. Thank you so very, very much. Okay, we are at the end. That's all of it. Thank you guys for sticking with me throughout this whole video. I really intended this video to be about 20 minutes long. Instead, it is an hour and 13 minutes long. So thank you all so much. I will be doing more of these reaction videos. Yeah. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right